All right, welcome to another Affinity photo tutorial. Today we're going to do something a little bit more fun. We're going to make some decorative designs using just shapes and some free fonts. This is what we're going to be creating right here, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with a new document, and we'll go 1920 by 1080. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to bring in guides just so that they're there, make it a little bit easier for us to do our layout. We're not going to need them for the very first portion of this, but I like to get them in there right away. So if you remember the other design there, you can see we have these handles over here. And these handles are actually made with using a free font. So we are going to open up the artistic text tool, and we're going to drag out a letter. And then I'm going to go to my fonts, and I have these listed in my favorites. This one is called Victorian Free Ornaments 2 that I got on dafont.com. Great site to find various fonts and glyphs, and so we're going to use that. And for this, we're going to use the number 9. And the number 9 gives us this pretty fancy looking shape here. We'll go ahead and size it up a little bit for right now, because what we're going to do to get this shape and get it filled in, because it's got a lot of openings in it, we're going to create a blank pixel layer below it. And we're going to get and fill that blank pixel layer with a color for now, something that we can see. So we're going to be making it kind of gold anyway, so we'll go with gold, and we'll flood fill that. So now what we need to do is we need to select around there. The black will show up. We just want to close off the holes. To do this, I'm going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to speed up this process because it is a little tedious. First of all, I'm going to turn off snapping so that it doesn't trip us up. And we're going to zoom in nice and close and get started. All right, now that we've got the selection done, we're going to make sure you click on selection, and it'll create the marching ants lines. And then all we're going to do is invert that selection and then hit delete, making sure that the orange pixel layer is chosen. And so there we go. We've got our handle, and it's a little bit of work, but if you're like me and you can't draw, I would never be able to do this by myself, so this works. I am going to clean up this little bit of an area in here. We're going to go to the letter, and we'll rasterize that, and then we'll get the eraser and just real quickly just clean up a little bit of this right there. Nothing major. That looks good. All right, and we'll just move this group. We'll group those and move those off to the side a little bit for right now. We don't need those yet. So now let's make our centerpiece, our orb. We'll go and grab the donut tool. And we're going to come in here, snap it, turn snapping back on. Come into the center of the document, hold down Command and Shift and drag out. We want to make this nice and big for now because we're going to resize everything down later. And we're going to open up that inner diameter just to create a nice ring. And then once that's done, we can go into Layer Effects. First off, we'll go ahead and add a bevel and emboss, and we'll make it an inner bevel. We'll separate the radius and the depth, because we want our depth to be really deep to give us a rounded appearance like a ring, like that. And let's go ahead and add a gradient overlay to it, make it look a little bit more like metal. So I'll go into our gradient, grab our first node, and we're going to stick with kind of like an orangey, goldish, a little dark like that. We're going to turn the noise up, give it a metallic look. And then we'll insert another layer after that, go with a slightly more yellow color, bring up the noise there, and then we'll follow it up at the end with another darker orange, and again bringing the noise up. Just give it a quick look. Maybe that might be a little bit too orange. Let's bring it back into gold and drop it down. All right, so we've got our outer ring there. Now we need to create our center orb. So let's come over to the shape tool, and let's grab the ellipse, and starting from the center, Command and Shift, we'll go ahead and drag this out so it just kind of sits just inside that ring, and we're going to bring this layer down below our donut. For the color on this one, let's go to Fill. This is also going to be a gradient, and it's going to be a radial gradient. So let's take that inner color. We're going to come up to our blues, maybe come with like a kind of a darkish, and we're going to bring the noise up on that as well. And then we'll come to our outer color there, back into our blues, and this time we're going to go with a much darker blue and noise it up. And the texture just gives it a little bit more of a metallic look. Now to make this pop off of here a little bit better, let's go ahead and bring in another blank pixel layer just above that ellipse. And let's reset our colors, make sure we're painting with white, grab our brush, nice soft brush. It's a little bit big, we'll bring it down. And we just want to create like a center highlight here, not too big, right about there. Now we need to take these handles and get them attached to our orb here. So let's grab this group, bring it over here, and we'll line it up kind of where we want it. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit there because it's a little big. There you go. That looks pretty good right there. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate that, Command J, and we're going to flip that horizontally, and we're going to drag that group over to the other side and match it up location-wise. That's looking pretty good right there. Okay, so we have a little bit sticking out over here on both sides, so let's go in real quickly and clean that up. So grabbing this one first, let's come over here, grab the eraser tool, and we will erase our outline part, come down to the color, erase that as well, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side over here. Get rid of our outline and get rid of our fill. So now what we can do to match this up a little bit better, since we already created this gradient effect on the ring, and we've got this kind of solid color out here, why don't we just grab the layer effect for the ring or the donut, and we're just going to drag that down onto the color portion of each of these handles, because we don't want to affect the outline, we just want to affect the handles themselves. And now what we can do as well is, why don't we just group this whole thing, and now we can just resize this down a little bit, hold down Option, shrink it down, pop it back up in the center like that, and for right now we can get rid of these guys. We don't need to see these anymore at all because they're kind of annoying. So we'll get rid of those. Let's put something in the center here. Let's put something embossed in the center here. Come back over to our artistic text tool, and we're just going to drag out a symbol here. And I think I used, gosh, I think it was an N. No. Okay, we're going to use the letter B. Gives us this nice little flourish thing here. We're going to flip it over vertically. Going to bring it over here towards the center. Let's scale it down some so that it fits in there nicely. And so now what we want to do is we kind of lift this off the background, lift this off of the blue orb. So what we'll do is we'll come into the ellipse, and it's still a shape right now, so we are going to have to rasterize this first. We'll rasterize and trim that. So now with our blue pixel layer selected, we're going to Command click on our letter B symbol, and that will highlight it and select it. And then all we're going to do is copy, Command C, paste, Command V, and then deselect everything, Command D. And now we can hide this letter. And if we go into this one, into layer effects, nice and quickly, what we can do is we can give it a bevel and emboss. And I think for this one, we will go with an emboss. And we can play around with the radius and the depth till we get something that we like, something nice and chiseled looking like that. That's not looking too bad. Let's give it a little bit of an outer glow. We'll match the color of the outer glow to like one of the brighter parts of this yellow here, something like that. And then we can bring the radius up and the intensity up a little bit more. And again, this is all to taste. You may want to do this or may not. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to create a background and lift this off of the background. So let's create a blank pixel layer, bring it down to the bottom. Let's come over to our gradient tool, and we're going to snap into the middle there, drag outwards till we hit the outer corner. Let's make this a radial gradient as well. And then we're going to come into our colors. We'll leave this black up in the outer corner. Grab the center one here and make it darker blue, not too dark. It really doesn't matter. We can make it a dark blue. And then to again separate this from the background, we'll bring in another blank pixel layer. Grab our brush, make sure we're painting with white. Increase the size of our brush a little bit so we create a little bit of a halo like that. And we'll pop it once. Grab the move tool and we will hold down Command and Option and drag this out so we get a nice symmetrical resize to that. Gives us kind of a vignette look. And then the very last thing, I promise, this is the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to select this group, the whole group. We'll duplicate it, Command J. We'll select the bottom one and we're going to rasterize and trim that whole group. Because all we're going to do with that is go into Layer Effects. Make sure we have Color Overlay selected and the color overlay is black. Close that. And then we are going to size that up a little bit. Just a little bit like that. Have it be maybe a little bit more bottom heavy there. Let's go ahead and come to Gaussian blur on that. Crank it up so that it separates it off the background. And there you go. I know that was a little convoluted, but for people that can't draw, there are a lot of possibilities using some of these symbol fonts and ornament fonts. Again, they're free. If you learned anything from this, go ahead and drop a like on the video or think about subscribing to my channel. And until next time, peace. Talk to you later. Bye.